Hi. Hi, I'm Genevieve Jackson Huguely, and I am a creative manager at Cobalt Music, and I am a woman of today and positioning myself for tomorrow.
I'm so happy to have you here, Genevieve.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
this
you
is like one of our first episodes, and we're like really excited.
Oh, thank you.
So Kayla previously knows you, but this is my first time meeting you. So
Yes.
if you don't mind introducing yourself, where are you from?
Well, I'm Genevieve Jackson. Actually, Genevieve Huguely. I just got married.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
I have to get used to, thank you. I have to get used to Genevieve Huguely. Originally from LA.
Okay.
Born and raised there. Just moved here to Atlanta about 4.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So like Los Angeles, like born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yes, Los Angeles. Well, the Valley side of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Valley girl.
Yeah, the Valley
that.
side. Because people are like, well, no, you're not really from LA. No, I am, but
Yeah.
the Valley part of it.
Nice.
I moved here 4.5 years ago. So I'm in music. I'm a music publisher. Have always been in music since I was a little girl. And I was an artist at first. Thought that's what I wanted to do. And when I think 25 years old, I realized, okay, this is not what I want to do anymore. You know, I just didn't really. It was just a lot of pressure. It gave me a lot of anxiety. Like even just thinking about like going on stage, and I was like, ooh, like it's just.
So you didn't
too
enjoy
much.
it?
No.
As much as you thought like
Yes.
you would, yeah.
But I love music. So I was like, okay, well, what am I gonna do next?
Yeah.
Like this is all I know. So someone told me to try music publishing, and I was like, okay. And so when I moved here to Atlanta, there was an opening for Cobalt Music, and that's the company I work for. And I actually started as an assistant because I was like brand new to the business side of stuff with music. And I moved my way up, and now I'm a creative manager, and I love it. I love that the fact that I could still work with creatives and just seeing the process of like creating the songs, and
so you're
it's just
still
beautiful.
in your lane.
Yeah.
But I think that's a whole like conversation on itself. Like I feel like people, when they think, oh, I aspire to be in music. If I'm not an artist, then what role am I fulfilling? But once you're in the music industry, you understand quickly like there's 100 roles even behind an artist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's something that I didn't know until being in it, you know.
Yeah.
What is your role consist of, like your day to day? Like how do you engage with the creatives, or like are the creatives your clients?
Yes. So the thing about Cobalt, the company I work for, we believe in like one team, one roster. So the clients, like they're our clients, you know. I don't have just specific clients. And but I talk to them daily, gain relationships with them. A lot of them became my good friends, which is really cool. But just always setting up sessions. It's different with each client. Some clients, they don't need any attention, or they're just very self-sufficient. Some clients are like, listen, like I want the help, like, do you know if this artist is looking, or do you know this producer or this writer? So we just do what we can in those areas. But that's literally what I do every day. I love it. I love connecting the dots and just seeing what comes out of these sessions.
Because you're a part of like the creation process.
Yeah.
So with it being a publishing company, the whole goal is getting the songwriters or producers projects.
Yes,
like getting
absolutely.
them and getting them paid, or getting them set up to be paid.
Yes. So it's different, you know, with every session or every project, but yeah, just getting them in sessions where it could potentially become a placement, you know, because it's not always promised. If we get them in with an artist, it's not always promised that it will come out. But then it gives us a chance to pitch that song elsewhere, you know, so.
So if they're looking like the last Beyonce project, they were like, everyone was trying to get in and get a placement on that.
Absolutely.
And whatever didn't make the album, you can pitch it to somebody else?
I don't know. I don't know with her project, because some artists are like, I'm not going to use that, but I still want it for myself for another project.
Okay.
So sometimes they just keep it for themselves. I know a lot of artists that way.
Do they have to buy it in order to be able to keep it?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yes, absolutely. Because the way the writers feel is like, why are you going to just
hold it hostage?
Yeah, like where it could go somewhere. Like it could be placed on someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Is there a lot of women in your field or fulfilling the roles that you fulfill?
There are, and then there aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I love about the company I work for, Cobalt, that there's a lot of women in my field.
Oh, nice.
A lot.
Okay,
like our
Cobalt.
team, if you have a meeting with us, you'll see a lot of women there, and it's just a lot of women empowerment, which is awesome. But yeah, when it is like a manly thing,
How
like you
is
see
that?
more men.
Like, how is it with you in like your day-to-day job, like navigating through that? Do you find that there's conflict within that, just being a woman and your role?
So I'm learning to be more assertive, and because I'm realizing that with men, it's just different. Like, it's just their nature to somewhat be competitive or
To like dominate. Yeah.
or mansplaining stuff.
I know. What is the mansplain?
Explain that.
No, it's the mansplain when you're just like, you don't really explain it. You just kind of push it to the
they're
side.
just always it's like they're trying to, like, they're telling you something that you don't know, like, but you really do know. It's like, okay, you don't have to do all that. Like,
And do you feel like they know? It's like a feeling like, I know this, and you're still explaining it to me in this way for whatever.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
We deal with that a lot as women. And
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, we already know this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I try not to see it as they're being intentional with that. Like, I because I don't like to look at people as like they're purposely doing things. You know what I mean?
Because you don't want to walk around with that like chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's not fun to walk around with that at all. Like, it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Okay, I have a question though, like,
Okay.
because you're saying like women empowerment with like Cobalt, and you have a lot of women on the team, right? What is it so much different, like the environment versus when you were an artist and you were just like working with labels or just like your own team manager type of thing? Like, do you feel like more comfortable and empowered in this environment versus like artistry?
Absolutely. I love it. And the one thing I love is I can only speak on the company I work for now because this is the first like music, like business, job I've had, so I love that they don't make anyone feel like if something's not good, like we don't make people feel like this is trash. You know what I mean? Like,
that's good.
Like, I hate that. And I hated that as like an artist. Like when I would see that, or they're like, no, this is not it. Like, it's like, there's no reason to be that way, like you don't have to be unkind. So
super highly critical, right?
Yes. Like there's ways to word things. And so with us is like, you have to be a good person also to be at this company.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that's the company culture.
It's the company culture.
And you need that.
Yeah, and it's rare to find. And so when I was an artist, like, I didn't think that there were people like this in the industry, Until I saw what Cobalt was about. I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. Like, if I was still an artist, like, this is a company I would want to be signed to. Like,
that's
so it's so awesome. Yeah.
That you, like, landed, like, this position and you worked your way to get here and, like, you're enjoying it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, are you at all, like, what's the transition from like Los Angeles to Atlanta?
And being newly married.
Because we're gonna talk about mental health. Like, has that affected like just like your lifestyle?
Because it's a big lifestyle difference. LA lifestyle and Atlanta lifestyle.
It's very different.
It is very different.
I'm still trying to understand it, honestly. I'm trying to balance it and get the hang of it. So like my daily life in LA usually is like I'm going hiking in the morning, and like I go to the beach every weekend, or or I just drive I drive PCH, like up and down PCH, or it's just a lot more. I feel like there's a lot more to do in LA than here in Atlanta. So like on the weekends, I'm like, oh, let's go hiking, but we don't really have mountains like that out here. So
you gotta drive out. You gotta drive about 45 minutes to get to at least.
And it's not like our culture. Like it's not exciting as when you're like in LA.
Hey, do you guys want to
and they're
go
like,
hiking?
what?
Like, no.
And even working in
music. I love
music.
it, by the way, so.
Yeah, me too. We can all go.
Okay, great.
But even like working in music and just having like, I know like meetings, like in LA, it's like, oh, you can have a work meeting on a hike, or like going out to get a green juice.
Yes.
Here in Atlanta, music culture is like, we meet at Magic City.
Yeah.
Literally for a business meeting. So.
Well, I haven't been approached with that yet.
Oh, that's the first. But that is a thing.
Yeah, no, here it's just meet at the studio or meet at a restaurant or whatever.
Yeah.
But in LA, like I'm seeing a lot of people, like they go hiking or they play tennis and I thought that was really cool. I was like, man, see. And I've gained so much weight being here in Atlanta because the food is so good.
I know.
The food is so good. And there, in LA, like everyone's so like health conscious. That is like naturally,
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle. So I'm trying to get back to like my old habits and bring it here. But a lot more people are moving here to Atlanta from LA.
Have you interacted with like any of your friends from LA that have moved here?
Yeah, I actually have. Oh, nice. Yeah. And they actually miss LA, certain parts. Like I feel like there's pros and cons to both cities,
I want to know, like, how did you get started? Because obviously, like, the love for music, right? It's in your family.
No, we didn't talk about that, but I don't mind.
You don't mind? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you're from, like, the biggest family in music.
That's also a reason why it's, like, weird for me to say Huguely, because I'm so used to just...
Yeah, I was wondering,
Genevieve
did you
Jackson.
keep the Jackson? Is it Jackson Huguely?
I kept my whole name and then added Huguely at the end, but I have two middle names now.
Okay.
So it's Catherine Jackson. That's my middle name.
Okay.
So my middle name was Catherine after my grandmother. And so I was like, no, I'll just have two middle names instead of like hyphenating.
The last name.
Yeah. And then, so it's Genevieve Catherine Jackson Huguely. It's long, I know.
I love it.
I love it.
So I wonder, like, just all of the grandkids, right? Like, did you guys all collectively feel like, we're going to be in show business, we're going to be musicians, we're going to be superstars, we're going to like...
I don't think it was like a thing that we all said, this is what we're going to do. I think it's because that's all we knew and that's all we grew up in, that it naturally just was in us. And we would see our parents up on stage and we'd be like, oh my gosh, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think it was more so along those lines, because literally we all have tried it, or we're still pursuing it, or we thought at a time, that's what we wanted to do, but realized, oh, actually I want to be an attorney. So
what was childhood like? I know you mentioned like just growing up, seeing your family like on stage, just being in that environment, I'm sure 24/7. Like
it's funny because people ask me that. I don't really know how to answer that, because
it was just
that's all you knew.
That's all I knew,
Was there ever a point to where you realized like, oh, I live a different lifestyle than maybe the norm?
Yes. So the first time like I realized it was Michael, he was on tour, he was doing the history tour. And so my grandmother took me and like some of my cousins and we went to London to see a show. And he brought me up on stage with him. And when I saw all those people out there, I was just like, what in the world?
You were shook.
Oh, yeah.
How old were you?
I was in second grade because I remember when I got back, and my teacher asked me, why were you gone for so long? I said, oh, I went to go see my Uncle Michael perform. She's like, that's not an excuse to be absent. And I was like, okay,
yes, it
so
is.
I got in trouble. But I was like, I went on stage. I was telling all the kids, and I thought it was the coolest thing, you know, because I didn't realize, like, oh, wow, like I knew my family was, I knew like something was different, but I just didn't really know like how extreme it was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like seeing.
You didn't really have much to compare it to.
No.
Yeah.
Like that's when I saw like people fainting and like, cause it was that type of show.
Yeah.
I mean, then Michael was,
Yeah.
I think he's like the most recognizable person in the world. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Kind of just like talking about like how you went from pursuing music and feeling like that's like what you're supposed to be doing, you're excited about it, until like 25 hits and you're like, no, or like, was it just like a breakthrough, or was it wasn't just like the experiences that you were having and you're like, hold on, let me take a step back. Is this what I want to do?
It was the experiences that I was having, you know. So my mom, she didn't even let me pursue like a music career until I turned 18. Like I wanted it like since I was a young girl. So when I was 16, like that was the first time I was in the studio, I recorded something, and she's like, yeah, but we're not going to take this seriously until you're 18 to see if this is what you really want to do.
Okay.
And so I went for it, you know, performed, went overseas, performed. But I never like released records like that, which I think in my case is a little interesting. I think it's because of the name. Like, because when I think about it now, it's like, that's weird. Like, I never really sold records. Like, I never had a deal, nothing like that. Like, but people will literally have me perform like in Asia or in London or something, you know, but it's because, which that's a nice perk to have.
Yeah.
Like, it's because of like who my family is. But that's another thing. Like, I hated the fact that people didn't see me for me. People didn't like listen to my music because of me as an artist.
Like, you wanted to enjoy the process and go through the whole process, like
absolutely,
start to finish.
Yes, but it was like, oh no, we're just gonna hand it to you because, you know, and I hated that part because I was like, that's cool.
Do you feel like you lost, like, I would say, like, I guess your voice, like within those years of just like trying to pursue artistry, but not really, like, you're not doing it on your own terms or your own way? Yes, because they were trying, like the managers that I did have at the time, I had a couple, and they all were trying to have me, some would be like my aunt Janet, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like my own image. It was just like, okay. And even the songs that they would pick for producers to like, you know, they're like, this is what we want. And I'm like,
because that's what they do in the industry. They put you in a box. If one thing was successful, they try to run it up.
Right. But I'm like, but this is not me. Like, this is not, you know, like, yeah, I love dancing and all of that, but this is not what I want to do. Like, this is not how I want to portray myself, you know? Like, I'm Genevieve. Like, they had their own success and, you know, their own achievements. Now it's time for me to have my own.
Yeah.
So I was just tired of constantly being compared, because they weren't, like, first of all, people aren't nice, like, meaning.
Yeah.
And then when, you know, Instagram came about, you know, I was like, okay, these comments, they need to go. Like,
oh, how was that transition to like life before social media, life being now introduced to it?
Yeah, a lot of bullying, a lot.
That's crazy.
We still, like, I say we because I'm talking about like my cousins as well.
Everybody.
We still receive it, you know. Now that I'm not in the show business in that way, I don't receive it as much, like, whatsoever. Actually, nothing about my music career, I don't receive that.
It feels like a weight off your shoulders?
Oh, 100%. You don't understand.
Oh, wow.
First I was scared to say I don't do music anymore.
Because you thought it was going to be, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I was like, okay, how am I going to tell people? Like,
did you have to publicly ever say it, or
no?
Good.
I never did that.
Eased out.
I just eased out.
Slid out the door.
Yeah, but like people that they, that's what they've known me for, they would be like, oh, when's music coming? And I'm like, okay, how do I tell them like I'm not doing it anymore? And I didn't want it to seem like I just gave up, and that's the thing. But I was like, no, I didn't just give up. I didn't enjoy it like how I thought I would.
Yeah.
It was just, like I said, I was getting anxiety. I was depressed. Like it wasn't. There's a lot of pressure, so I feel for these artists.
Yeah, I went through that because I used to be a recording artist. And I was just like, I got into it because I loved like what I saw on television. Like, oh, I want to create looks. Oh, I want to create. And then getting into the industry, it's like, whoa, like this is harsh. Like this is no longer fun. Even like as a songwriter, they're not looking necessarily for your creativity. They're looking, how can you replicate something that's already been successful for us?
Absolutely.
And then as a creative, your spirit dies completely. So I get it. Like, and then you're on a whole different level with the pressure of your family's name.
And then depending on like producers, like I hate depending on people. So like that's a whole nother story. Like I was like, you know what, forget this. Like I want to be in control of my own world, like my own shit.
And do you feel like at the age 25, that is where you started like finding your voice, finding your real passion?
Yes, absolutely. So I remember I told my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And there was one time I got drunk. And I called him, I said, I'm scared and I don't want to do this. I know if I make it like big, it's not going to go well. And I was like, I could already see like,
go well in what way?
Like I would be doing this, like how I was getting drunk and all this stuff. Like
just for your own self.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to do it. This is not going to end well. Like and that's when I said, I'm good. I'm not doing it. So I remember I told my mom and I told my family, I was like, I'm not doing this. And they're like, well, what are you going to do next? I'm like, I don't know.
I remember, it was a time where I had tightness in my chest every time I was going to the studio. Like,
really?
I literally had to,
my goodness.
I had to take, like, I can't remember, my mom's a psychiatrist, so she can prescribe medicine. And I was like, Mommy, help me figure out why my chest is tight. Like, this can't be fun. And so I can totally
At the time,
relate.
did you even know it was in like anxiety or?
I knew. Okay. I knew because it only came up in those environments.
Isn't that interesting? It's like your body's telling you something.
But is it also like a lot of artists or creatives, musicians, like they say that the music is what saved them.
Absolutely.
Like,
yes, I believe
and
that.
so there's that side, but then you will also see when you get to a certain point when you're dealing with the fame and the industry and the politics, you do start using vices to like get on that stage every night and be a superstar.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of like the great musicians and performers just go out, for whatever reason, because we're human. Like going back to the Nope. Have you guys seen Nope?
No, I haven't.
I actually want to see it today. So that's
okay. Okay, never mind. But like I don't know how far we're talented and we're creatives and we want to put our creation out in the world, but at some point the world turns us into a spectacle. And then I think that's the hardest thing to deal with because we're human.
And that's the thing. And even now, like I experience it, people are like, oh, wait, you're related to the Jacksons? Wait, but you're so cool. Like, you're nice. I'm like, well, what did you
expect?
Right. Or like, when my husband, he went back home, because we were long distance for 3 years, and he's from Dayton, Ohio. So he went back home to Dayton, and he was telling all his friends about me, and there's a fly. He was telling all his friends about me, and they thought, oh, he just found this LA girl, because they don't know. They're just seeing they're just going off of what they see from TV.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they found out like who my family is, and they're like, is she stuck up? Like, how's she gonna be? Like, is she even gonna like Dayton? Is she gonna? But the thing about it is that, so I was raised by my mother and my grandmother, Catherine, and they wanted to make sure that we were like well-rounded. We like we had morals, and I would like to say like humble. Like they're like, yeah, this is who we are, but you know what? You still have to make up your bed every day.
Yeah.
You still have to do chores at the house. Like
anyone should be spoiled brats.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to like just go out and party with my friends. Like I was only allowed to go out every other weekend. Like they kept us grounded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to just get anything I wanted. Like
yeah.
I wanted that Baby G watch for the longest in elementary school, and my mom's like, no, you're not getting that. Like just because all the other girls have it doesn't mean you're gonna have it. You're a leader, you're not a follower. So like that's like a thing that they instilled in all of us, you know, like all my cousins, all my siblings, like this is the way we are.
Yeah.
And so that's why we are not that way.
Yeah.
You know, if you meet every single one of us, we are a lot alike.
I wanted to see like we talked about like what does your life look like in like 3 years or 5 years? Like what do you see for yourself?
So I definitely see kids involved. We don't know how many. I originally said 3. He wanted 1 because he grew up like an only child, and he's like, you know, I turned out okay. But I grew up with 4 other siblings, so there's 5 of us in total from my mother, and so we're thinking just 1 for right now because just seeing
Test the waters.
Yeah, because I'm seeing all my girlfriends with children. I'm like, ooh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Like they have 2 little ones, 3 little ones, and I'm like, that's hard to have little ones, like that many to be little. But definitely see kids in there. We don't know if we want to stay here in Atlanta or move back to LA. So that's something that we're constantly talking about.
Okay. Is Cobalt's in LA too? You can.
Yes. So I'm in LA often because Cobalt, like, and they know like my family is there and stuff, so it's easy for me. Like I could just, you know, so it's great. But I definitely see myself like moving up in Cobalt. Eventually, I'm trying to figure out if I want like my own management company or my own publishing company. I'm not sure yet. So I'm just kind of,
you're stepping into your own lane.
Yes, but I'm just kind of like going with it right now. I'm learning and meeting a lot of people, especially here in Atlanta, because like you guys said, like it's a different culture, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But someone said they said there's nothing to figure out. This is it. And I said, what do you mean by that? They're like, no, this is it. I'm like, yeah, but you know, LA has their vibe. Like, you know, it's different. I'm trying to figure out what the vibe is here. Like, I'm trying to understand it. But
maybe they're saying that that everyone's just like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
There's not really much like layers to it.
And so, yes, that's exactly what they were saying. I was like, okay. So that's something that I'm trying to get used to.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely see myself just starting my own business. But I'm still trying to just figure out what that is.
Yeah.
What that is. I feel like right now I'm in a place where I'm just growing, I'm learning, and I'm just trying to be the best person I can be in general, like just as a person and also in my career.
Did you always see yourself as an entrepreneur, or did you always know like the path would eventually end up there? Because coming from working from a company to running your own business, is that something you just want to like just take on?
So I always wanted my own company. Like since I was young, like I always, you know, would see like, you know, celebrities like on CoverGirl and stuff. I thought like, oh, this is their makeup line. So, yeah. So I was like, oh, I want my own makeup line. I want this, I want that. You know, I want my own perfume line. And then in high school, actually with my best friend, like we started like a nonprofit and stuff like that. And we didn't go all the way through with it because we didn't realize how much work it is to, you know, get approval and all that. And we were in high school. We didn't really know. But so I was always into something, you know, but I never thought of me being an entrepreneur. Like I was like, this is just what I do.
Yeah.
I love that.
What advice would you give to, I guess, women navigating the industry in whatever, if they're a recording artist or a songwriter or, you know, in front of the camera or behind the camera, like what do you have like a couple of tips that you would tell them or something that you would tell yourself when you were navigating it?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? And I never thought I would love doing what I'm doing now. Like if I was younger, like if someone said, "Oh, you're going to be in music publishing," I would have been like, "Oh, okay." Like,
That sounds dry,
you know,
that
like,
sounds-
right. But the fact that I actually love it and I am in it. So now I understand that literally every aspect of my life led me to here. So me being an artist actually like helped me a lot in this process of like in my career now, because I understand the artists, you know, like when they're complaining about something, I'm like, oh no, you guys aren't just complaining. Like I feel you. Like I know what you're talking about, you know? And so it's like, it's relatable, you know?
So it's kind of like let yourself go through
you just don't give up. Just let yourself go through it. And you have to understand everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Literally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I would tell myself. And that's the advice I give everyone else.
What do you do to maintain, I think this is my last question. What do you do to maintain your like mental health, your emotional health, like all with all of this, like because you're newly married, you moved across the country, you come from a famous family, and now you're embarking on like this new career which you love. Like how are you, what are your daily like rituals or anything that like help you do that?
So every morning I work out. I have to get a run in. Because that just releases a lot. I love reading, so I'm currently reading this book called Welcome Home. And it's just basically about how, like, our soul is our home, you know what I mean? So you place every little thing in a different room. So, like, one room is, like, self-love. Well, the first thing is, like, you have to build the foundation. So our foundation is, like, our self-acceptance. And then like each room is so each room is something different, so like boundaries, self-love, stuff like that. And so it's really good. So that's what I'm reading now. So every morning
Welcome
I
home.
read.
I want to get that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it on audio?
Yes. I believe so. It's very good. So I read at least 10 minutes in the morning. I do my prayers. And then I have a therapist. Okay. So I go to therapy every week.
Oh, nice.
It's amazing. I love it. I've been going to therapy since I was in high school, or at least having a life coach, something, because I understood that. And my mom taught me that. She was like, you know, sometimes it's best when you just talk to someone that you don't know. Yeah. Because you could just release it. Yeah. You don't have to worry about judgment, if they're going to tell anyone, or, you know, so that also keeps like a peace of mind in me, like just knowing that, okay, I could just call my therapist up if I need
I always thought therapy was like, I never looked at it as like a bad thing. I thought it was something just like natural and like.
Absolutely.
And then when I spoke to other people, I then realized like how people are how many people like shy away from it.
They do.
Because they think that there's an problem with me if I'm going.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but no. And someone said, it's so crazy. I'm going to therapy for everyone else's stuff.
But my own.
But no, meaning what makes them have like certain issues and stuff is other people's baggage that they brought onto them. So like if it's their parents, it's because their parents grew up a certain way and now they're reflecting.
But they think that it's them, the issue and the problems with them.
And I was like, that's interesting. You know, you're right.
And
like
therapy helps them uncover that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it helps you understand people, you know, why people are the way they are. You know, since I was, I've always been this way where I look at people and I try to understand why they are the way they are, why they do things the way they do. And then you realize it comes from childhood, you know, and also traumas in their life. And so when you understand that, you don't take things so personally.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm working on, like, I used to validate everyone's opinion of me. I used to give it so much honor. Like, if they said it, it must be true.
Yeah.
Versus being like, no, they could be projecting. That could just be their experience. That's just how they view it. And once I started being like, I don't even have to like pay attention to that. That's just, I can let that fly off my shoulder. That helped me a lot.
Yeah, another book, The Four Agreements. Have you read that?
Yes.
I've heard of it and I have not read it.
I've read it
really
like
good.
twice.
Yeah, I love that book. But there's one of the agreements that says don't take anything personally. Mm-hmm. And that's a big thing. But as humans, we always do. We're human.
I was going to say,
you know?
yeah, I read it twice, but that don't mean I ain't taking it personal. That don't mean I ain't taking it personal.
I try not to.
We gotta have you back for our mental health segment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm seeing that you are like tapped in.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's all I talk about with my girlfriends.
Oh,
like,
I love that.
Yeah, like it's important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
So important.